All right, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're digging into a question that's been a real head-scratcher for educators forever. Really, can you actually create high-quality online learning, get it out to tons of people, and not have it cost a fortune? Let's find out. So you've heard the old saying, right? Fast, good, or cheap. You can only pick two. It's true for, I don't know, fixing your car, building a deck. And for a long, long time, it's felt like the absolute rule in education. You want it to be good and reach a lot of people? Well, that's going to be expensive. You want it cheap and easy to access? Yeah, the quality is probably going to take a hit. It's always felt like this impossible choice, this frustrating trade-off you just can't win. Yeah, and in education, this whole problem has a name. They call it the iron triangle. And it's simple, right? You've got these three corners you're always trying to balance: cost, quality, and access. And the classic thinking has always been, you just can't have it all. If you pull on one corner, say you want to improve quality, you're almost always forced to give something up on the other two. It's a constant struggle. But for years, there's been this little glimmer of hope. The idea that maybe, just maybe, technology could be the sledgehammer to smash that iron triangle. You had thinkers like Sir John Daniel saying, wait a minute, the internet could change everything. You know, the dream was to deliver amazing education to literally millions of people for just a fraction of the old school cost. So the promise was huge, but let's be honest, the results have been kinda all over the place. Which leads to a really important question. What if the solution isn't just being online? What if it's about a specific way of being online? And this right here is where the research we're looking at today gets super interesting. The folks at the Commonwealth of Learning decided to test a very particular, very frugal approach. And the model they zeroed in on is something called asynchronous learning. Okay, so what does that mean? It's basically the exact opposite of that scheduled Zoom class we've all gotten used to. There are no live lectures, no everyone log in at 2 p.m. Instead, you log in whenever it works for you, you engage with the videos, the readings, the quizzes, all on your own time, at your own pace, total flexibility. And right there, that's the fundamental fork in the road. On one side, you've got this asynchronous path. It's all about being flexible, and you can scale it up like crazy. I mean, the cost stays low because you're not paying an instructor to be live for every single person. But on the other side, you have the classic instructor-led model. Yeah, it's more personal, more high-touch, but man, is it expensive. And it's completely limited by how many students one human being can possibly teach at once. Okay, so that's the theory. But does it actually work in the real world? Well, the Commonwealth of Learning, we'll just call them COL, didn't just sit around and guess. They rolled up their sleeves and looked at the cold, hard data from 4 of their own real-world programs. And each one used a slightly different online setup. And boom, here it is. This is the heart of the whole study. Just look at this table. Let's start down at the bottom. The traditional instructor-led MOOC. Completion rate, a pretty dismal 18%. And the cost for each person who did finish, over $43. Okay, now look up at that top line. The totally asynchronous model called COL Commons. The difference? Well, it's absolutely staggering. I mean, the numbers just scream at you, don't they? There is a clear, undeniable winner here. And it's not like it's a little bit better. No, it's playing a completely different sport. Let's just pull out the 2 most important numbers and look at them up close. First up, this completion rate, 66.7%. Let me just say that again, 66.7%. Now, to put that into perspective, in the world of free online courses, getting a completion rate in the single digits is considered pretty normal. So this is just off the charts. It means 2 out of every 3 people who signed up actually saw through to the end. And then you've got the other number, the cost, just $14.27. And let's be super clear about what that is. That's not what the student paid. The courses were free. That's the total cost to the organization for every single person who successfully finished. It is just incredibly, unbelievably frugal. So what's the secret sauce here? Why did this model work so darn well? Well, the researchers identified a few key ingredients. First, that self-paced, asynchronous design was a perfect fit for busy professionals. Second, the focus was all on amazing content, not on live teachers, and the data proves that was actually more effective for getting people to finish. Third, the courses were short, manageable, just 2 to 5 hours. And finally, they just left them up forever. This created a long tail effect, catching more and more people over time and just maximizing the impact. Okay, so look, high completion rates at a super low cost, that's already a home run. That's a massive win. But the team at COL wasn't done yet. They asked one more really important question. What's the actual return on investment? What's the real value that this whole thing created?
So how in the world do you figure out the value of something that's free? Simple. You just ask people. You ask them, hey, what would you have been willing to pay for this? And they did. They surveyed over 2,400 people who finish. The most common answer? $50. And that's a pretty conservative number. But when you take that $50 and multiply it by the more than 31,000 people who finished, you get a user-perceived value of over $1.5 million.
So now, let's do the final math. You take that $1.5 million in value, you compare it to the total cost to build everything, about $443,000, and what do you get? A return on investment of 350%. Think about that. For every single dollar they put in, they generated $3.50 in real perceived value for the people taking the courses. That's incredible. So what's the big takeaway from all this? The bottom line is that we have a blueprint here. It shows that this kind of frugal, asynchronous learning isn't some cheap second-best option. No, it's an incredibly powerful strategy. It proves you can get high completion rates at a crazy low cost and deliver a massive return on investment. This isn't a what-if anymore. It's a real, proven model for taking quality education to a global scale. And that brings us to the big final question. The evidence is pretty darn clear, isn't it? We seem to have a model that actually breaks that old iron triangle. It delivers quality, it delivers access, and it does it at a low cost. It works, it's efficient, people value it. So the real question we have to ask ourselves now is, if this model can do all that and deliver a 350% ROI, what's stopping us from using it to scale up and make a real difference?